Nathan Reed, my boss, normally the picture of composure, sat frozen in the conference room. His eyes glued to the security feed on his laptop. Originally, he had turned on the camera during a meeting just to check if his beloved cat was eating properly at home. Instead, we both witnessed a live betrayal. And the cherry on top? The man cheating with Nathan's girlfriend was none other than my own boyfriend. The meeting ended in stunned silence. Nathan and I remained seated, paralyzed. No words, no anger, just two freshly humiliated people marinating in despair. God, was I cursed? I only went to work and somehow still managed to get cheated on. What cosmic joke was this? Nathan Reed didn't rage, didn't smash things, didn't go out drinking like the cold, domineering CEOs you read about in novels. No, he just kept working overtime. Professionalism at its finest. As his loyal secretary, I had no choice but to match his energy, channeling heartbreak into an endless stream of project reports and planning documents. Forget avenging my dignity, money heals all wounds. And Nathan paid handsomely. 7 digits sat sweetly in my bank account. Who needed love when you could have that? 3 days later, after submitting the finalized project plan, Nathan finally took a breather. He dragged me to a grimy street barbecue stall. He downed 2 shots of cheap liquor, and his tear ducts exploded. The man clutched my shoulders and sobbed like a heartbroken teenager. I sat there smoking, blowing lazy rings of smoke into the night air, pretending to listen to his passionate monologue about noble love. I don't know when or how it happened, but somewhere between another shot and a fried skewer, things blurred. The next thing I remembered, we were tangled together in a hotel bed. Naked. Very, very naked. When I woke up, the air was thick and suffocating. I scrambled into my clothes, planning a stealthy escape, when a deep, hoarse voice behind me said, "You're not planning to walk away after this, are you?" I turned to see Nathan Reed, hair tousled, leaning against the headboard with a lazy smirk. Didn't expect my secretary to be the type to eat and run. He drawled. I blinked. What? Nathan's smile disappeared. His voice turned cold. Are you not planning to take responsibility? I stood there, stunned. Was this really happening? Was Nathan Reed, the Iceberg CEO, demanding accountability after a drunken one-night stand? He looked at me like a wronged housewife, betrayed and abandoned. He narrowed his eyes threateningly. According to the new civil code, men who have been violated have the right to seek justice. Choose. Take responsibility. Or I'll drag you straight to court. I lit a cigarette, took a deep drag, and exhaled slowly. Fine, I said, gritting my teeth. I'll take responsibility. In the blink of an eye, a marriage certificate appeared in my hands. Just like that, I, Tessa Lawson, because of one drunken night, became the legally wedded wife of my boss, Nathan Reed, a man so stubborn he stuck to me like superglue. I lay on Nathan's absurdly expensive $2 million mattress, my mind spinning. One street barbecue outing, and suddenly I was Mrs. Reed living in his penthouse? Admittedly, the bed was ridiculously comfortable. The sound of running water drew my attention. Through the frosted glass of the bathroom door, Nathan's tall figure came into view. My gaze involuntarily followed the outline of broad shoulders, taut muscles. Holy hell. When he emerged, towel slung low on his hips, droplets sliding down tanned skin, I nearly combusted. Nathan caught my stare, smirked, and licked his lips. Want to try? He teased. My pride refused to back down. Fine, we're married now. What's there to be shy about? One thing led to another. By the end of the night, I was thoroughly exhausted, both body and soul. In the dead of night, a vibrating phone startled me awake. Half asleep, Nathan grabbed it, thinking it was his. A slurred voice crackled through the speaker. Tessa, why haven't you come home yet? Ethan Hayes, my ex. The cheating scumbag who still didn't know I'd caught him red-handed. Nathan stared at the phone for 2 seconds before lazily replying. Calling my wife at this hour, a little inappropriate, don't you think? There was a stunned silence. Then furious shouting. Who the hell are you? Tessa is my girlfriend. Nathan's voice oozed smugness. Tessa Lawson legally married me this morning. Our relationship is protected by law. If you call her again, I'll break your legs. The word wife rolled off his tongue like honey, dripping with possession. He hung up without waiting for a response. I sat there blinking, trying to explain. I was too busy with the project. I hadn't gotten around to breaking up yet. Nathan sneered. Impressive. He blocked Ethan on all platforms and gave me a stern look. From now on, you're not allowed to talk to any man but me. I opened my mouth to argue. What about my coworkers? My family then remembered. Orphan. Right. No family to worry about. I sighed inwardly and listened as Nathan continued spouting domineering CEO lines straight out of a cringy romance novel. Oh, by the way, I wasn't originally from this world. I was a transmigrator, thrown into the pages of a brainless novel called The Contract Wife of a Domineering CEO. I hated that book. I'd even written an 800-word scathing review online before getting electrocuted and ending up here. Now, stuck as an orphaned background character. I worked my butt off just to survive. Until fate made me Nathan Reed's secretary. And now, his wife. Living with Nathan Reed was an adjustment. He didn't act like a tyrannical CEO from a cheap romance novel. No yelling. No smashing things. Instead, he followed me around like a large, clingy golden retriever. It would have been almost cute, if it weren't so exhausting. Every day, Nathan insisted on working late, claiming it was to prevent me from sneaking off to date someone else. Seriously? I wanted to roll my eyes. But then he casually offered triple overtime pay. Money talks. I smiled sweetly and saluted him. Boss, it's an honor to dedicate my life to the company. Still, deep down, a knot of unease twisted in my chest. I wasn't really from this world. I had transmigrated, thrown straight into a trashy novel I had once mocked online. The Contract Wife of a Domineering CEO. Nathan Reed wasn't even the main character. He was a tragic supporting role. According to the original plot, Nathan would eventually fall in love with the heroine, Violet Lane, only to be mercilessly crushed by her choices, bankrupt, betrayed, left for dead. Meanwhile, the true male lead, Victor Chase, would sweep Violet away to his bloody empire of corporate domination and medical malpractice. Since realizing I was living inside that dumpster fire of a novel, I had been playing survival mode. Work hard, save money, stay away from plot-important characters. Especially Nathan Reed. And yet, here I was, married to him, living under the same roof, sleeping in his overpriced bed. To make matters worse, the supposed heroine hadn't even shown up yet. Maybe the author died mid-story. Maybe the world was glitched. Either way, it left me in a very dangerous position. If the plot resumed, Nathan would inevitably meet Violet Lane, and once he fell for her, I would be discarded, without hesitation, without mercy, which was why I worked overtime like my life depended on it. Because it did. The more Nathan built up his fortune, the more I could take when the inevitable divorce came. I wasn't working for him. I was investing in my future. Lately, we were busy with a major project, negotiating the acquisition of a valuable plot of land in the East District. How exhausting was it? Let's just say, I fell asleep while we were being intimate. Yes. Dead asleep. Mid-kiss. Nathan took it personally. At 3 a.m, he shook me awake, looking devastated. Tessa, he said solemnly, do I not attract you anymore? I stared at him, bleary-eyed. He looked like a kicked puppy. I feel so unloved. He continued dramatically. Did you only marry me because you pitied me? Was he serious right now? I sat up, rubbed my face, and sighed. Nathan, you overworked me to death. You kept giving me projects to stop me from dating other guys. I'm not uninterested. I'm just exhausted. His mouth opened and closed like a fish. I poked his forehead. Maybe you should self-reflect instead of accusing me. Nathan deflated like a withered lettuce. After a long moment of sulking, he muttered under his breath. Can't you at least call me husband once? I blinked. He looked up at me, eyes full of wounded puppy emotions. We've been married for days. And you've never called me husband. Not even once. I coughed awkwardly. You haven't called me wife either. Nathan's eyes lit up. He sat up straight in. Blushing faintly, said in a syrupy tone. Wife Tilda. I covered my burning ears. God, help me. Nathan leaned closer, hopeful, clearly waiting for me to reciprocate. I hesitated. He sighed, dramatically wiping an imaginary tear. One, husband, $20,000. Suddenly, my throat cleared up marvelously. Without hesitation, I pounced on him, hugged his neck, and shouted sweetly, husband, money really could move mountains. From that night on, Nathan lightened my workload significantly, probably afraid I'd sue him for labor abuse. One afternoon, while enjoying a rare coffee break at the cafe downstairs, misfortune struck. Ethan Hayes, the human garbage bin that used to be my boyfriend, plopped down across from me. Seriously, I can't even slack off in peace? Ethan glared at me, his face twisted with resentment. I can't believe you, Tessa, he hissed. Cheating on me. Marrying another man behind my back. I took a slow sip of my coffee, stared him dead in the eyes, and said, when you were sleeping with Selena Torres, did you remember you had a girlfriend? Ethan flinched, face paling, caught red-handed, pathetic. He opened his mouth to sputter some half-assed excuse. I didn't mean it. I was just drunk. I interrupted, smiling sweetly. Oh? So should I write your tragic backstory into a biography, maybe a 2,000-word essay on why you became a piece of trash? Ethan gaped like a fish. Before I could continue verbally skinning him alive, a deep voice interrupted. Wife Tilda. Nathan Reed appeared behind me. Towering, eyes like frozen daggers. He looked at Ethan like he was considering whether homicide was worth the paperwork. Nathan bent slightly, resting an arm possessively around my chair. He said coldly, I think you don't need your legs anymore. Ethan visibly trembled. He scrambled up and fled without another word. Nathan watched him go, then turned to me, eyes filled with wounded accusation. Wife, he said pitifully, were you planning to leave me for him? I rolled my eyes. If you don't divorce me, I'll never leave. Inside, I added silently, not until I cash out that divorce settlement. Buddy. That evening, Nathan and I arrived late to a private estate party. It was one of those exclusive, over-the-top events that only people with seven-figure savings and zero empathy attended. Nathan had dragged me along last minute, probably to mark his territory. When we stepped into the ballroom, the place was already packed. Golden chandeliers sparkled overhead, champagne flowed freely, and the air reeked of wealth and arrogance. But the moment we entered, my eyes were drawn to the man sitting at the head of the table. Victor Chase, the male lead of this godforsaken novel. He looked exactly like I remembered from the book, sharp features, cold eyes, terrifying aura, a man who broke laws for breakfast and hearts by lunch. Beside him sat a beautiful woman with delicate features and the aura of a snow lotus, Violet Lane. The heroine. Finally, the central couple had arrived. I should have felt relief that the story was getting back on track. Instead, my stomach twisted. As dinner began, I couldn't stop watching Victor and Violet, neither could anyone else. Several rich heirs took turns trying to toast Violet. She politely refused each one. Her voice soft, her posture elegant. I recognized the scene instantly. It was one of the early turning points in the novel, the moment when Victor Chase started to lose his shit. Sure enough. Clack. Victor slammed the lighter he'd been playing with onto the table, his cold laughter slicing through the room. Violet Lane. He sneered. What's with the Ice Queen act? His voice dropped. Venomous. I paid good money for you to stand here and play the virtuous saint? The air went still. Here we go. Violet's eyes welled up with tears, lashes trembling. The rich heirs who had been toasting her froze, unsure whether to run or faint. I nudged Nathan discreetly. Are you seriously going to sit there while she gets verbally smacked? He didn't even look up from his phone, where he was playing Snake. I'm a married man now, morals and loyalty. Remember, I only protect one woman. I stared at him. This man. He was loyal. All right. Loyal to being ridiculous. Victor's eyes were glacial. Violet looked seconds away from crying. Some part of me felt bad for her. But then I remembered. This was the woman who, later in the story, Forgave Victor for stealing her kidney and gaslighting her into falling in love. Yeah, not exactly Nobel Prize material. If someone chooses suffering twice, maybe they deserve it. Victor leaned forward and, without warning, tipped an entire glass of red wine over Violet's head. This, he said, his voice cold and quiet, is what you get for pretending to be pure. Gasps echoed through the hall. Violet flinched, wine dripping from her hair, staining her silk dress. Nathan finally looked up. I glanced over, expecting sympathy. He squinted, then muttered, "That bottle was $5,000, what a waste." This man was hopeless. I was still shaking my head when Victor's gaze suddenly turned to me. His sharp eyes narrowed slightly, as if trying to place me. I stared back, boldly. If I looked away now, he'd know I was just another background character. Beside me, Nathan suddenly grabbed my hand. I turned. He was pouting. "Don't look at other men," he said. Seriously? Since Violet Lane's appearance, I'd been working even harder than usual. I wasn't taking chances. What if the plot accelerated and Nathan got bankrupted ahead of schedule? I needed that divorce payout ready and waiting. Curiously, though, Violet's entrance hadn't changed much. Nathan still went to work like clockwork, tossing out overbearing CEO lines like candy. Take last weekend, for example. I mentioned attending a high school reunion. Nathan immediately sulked. "You've never introduced me to your friends." He sniffed. "You're ashamed of me, aren't you?" 2 fake tears. Oscar-worthy. I sighed. "Fine. You can come." The reunion was held at an upscale Chinese restaurant, booked a month in advance. When Nathan walked in, the entire room fell silent. I mean, fair. The man looked like he'd stepped out of a luxury brand billboard. Chiseled jaw, icy eyes, perfect posture, the kind of guy you didn't know whether to kiss or run from. When I introduced him as my husband, Nathan Reed, the table exploded. "You didn't even invite us to the wedding?" Nathan, smug as ever, took a seat like a rooster who just won a cockfight. Halfway through the meal, I stepped out to take a work call. As I walked back down the hall, I overheard 2 girls gossiping near the restroom. "Her husband's wearing all designer. That watch alone is worth millions. Didn't she say her boyfriend was just average? She probably found herself a sugar daddy. Bet she's his secret wife. Did you see her finger? No wedding ring." I was about to turn away, annoyed, when someone stepped into my path. Nathan. He'd followed me. From the look in his eyes, he'd heard everything. I expected anger, drama. Instead, he looked concerned. I just shrugged. I used to work part-time all the time back in school. Never had time to bond with people like them anyway. Back in the dining room, the restaurant manager personally brought out a new dish. The class president blinked. "Wait, we didn't order that." Nathan stood. "Tonight's meal is on me. Thanks for caring so much about my wife. Please eat well." The room went quiet. Then, Nathan pulled out a sleek black card and twirled it lazily between his fingers. "Know what this card and my love for her have in common?" he asked me. I narrowed my eyes. "Here we go again." He smirked. "Neither has a limit." God help me. From behind, someone actually whispered, "Wow, I'm jealous." I wanted to dig a hole in the floor and bury myself. And yet, I couldn't help but smile. Just a little. After that eventful night, Nathan became clingy. Like, next level clingy. He clung to me everywhere, at home, at work, even when I went to the coffee shop downstairs. One afternoon, while sipping a caramel macchiato and enjoying a rare break, misfortune struck again. Ethan Hayes, the ex-boyfriend trash heap himself. He dropped into the seat across from me without invitation. His face twisted with resentment. "You disgust me, Tessa," he snarled. "How could you marry someone else while dating me?" I sipped my coffee calmly. "And when you were sleeping with Selena Torres, did you remember you had a girlfriend?" Ethan's face turned an impressive shade of purple. He opened his mouth to retort but was immediately silenced by Nathan's cold, cutting voice behind me. "Wife Tilda." Nathan appeared, looming over the table like an avenging angel, his expression darker than a thunderstorm. He stared Ethan down with an intensity that could have vaporized a weaker man. "If you don't leave in the next 5 seconds," Nathan said casually, "you won't need your kneecaps anymore." Ethan scrambled away like his ass was on fire. Nathan didn't stop there. He turned to me, puppy eyes full blast. "Wife, you're not thinking of leaving me for him, right?" I resisted the urge to laugh. "If you don't divorce me, I'll never leave." Inside, I whispered to myself, "Stay married, stay rich, win-win." Despite my reassurances, Nathan seemed anxious. At night, he'd cling to me like a koala, mumbling nonsense about loyalty and love. It was strangely endearing. Things escalated when Nathan suddenly announced, at 2 in the morning, that we needed a contingency plan. "A prenup?" I asked, half asleep. "Not exactly," he said, "more like a protection agreement." Within an hour, he dragged a sleepy lawyer to our apartment. The poor man, Mr. Wong, looked like he was about to collapse. "Ms. Lawson, I understand wanting security," he said, adjusting his gold-rimmed glasses, "but drafting a contract at 3 a.m. might be excessive." I handed him a cup of coffee. "Nathan's paying triple." His eyes lit up. "Where should we start?" The agreement was simple. If Nathan cheated, I would get everything, his properties, his assets, even his shares. Nathan sat on the couch, arms crossed, sulking like a 5-year-old denied dessert. "I feel so loved," he said dryly. I rolled my eyes. "You're the one who suggested it." When I tried to be merciful and leave out his prized country villa, he glared at me. "Put it in," he snapped. "All of it." "Well, if you insist." By dawn, the contract was signed. Nathan didn't even read it. He just scribbled his signature, slammed the pen down, and stalked off toward the bedroom. Mr. Wong watched him go, then whispered to me, "Don't drag this out too long, it'll hurt both sides." I smiled bitterly. If only things were that simple. When the sun rose, Nathan was already dressed, ready for work. He leaned over, kissed my forehead, and whispered, "Sleep a little longer, you're working too hard." I buried myself deeper under the covers, feeling strangely warm inside. Maybe it was just the expensive sheets. Or maybe it was something else. The day went by peacefully, until Nathan suddenly announced he had to go on a week-long business trip. "Wait, what trip? I'm your secretary, why didn't I know about this?" Nathan avoided my gaze. "I just found out." "Yeah, right." More like he found an excuse to meet Violet Lane in secret. After all, in the novel, this was around the time the male leads and female leads started overlapping paths. Left alone, I did what any self-respecting abandoned wife would do. I went to the barbecue stall where Nathan and I had first gotten drunk together. Ordered enough food for a small army, drank beer straight from the can. Somewhere between my 3rd and 4th can, the memories hit me like a freight train. It wasn't Nathan who initiated our drunken hookup that night. It was me. I had kissed him first, I had begged him. I buried my face in my arms. I was the villain all along. While wallowing in self-pity, a voice called out, "Ms. Lawson?" I looked up, and nearly choked. Victor Chase. And he wasn't alone. His arm was casually draped around a stunning woman. Violet Lane. I blinked. What the hell? Wasn't Violet supposed to be all pure and innocent? Why was she clinging to Victor like a second skin? Victor raised an eyebrow. "You're drinking alone, not visiting your husband?" Confused, I frowned. "What do you mean?" Victor smirked. "Didn't Nathan tell you he's hospitalized?" My brain blanked. "What happened?" Victor shrugged. "Nothing major, just a small surgery." Violet chimed in sweetly. "Don't worry. It was a successful operation, he's recovering well." Small surgery? Why didn't Nathan tell me? Panic rising, I rushed to the hospital. Nathan was lying face down on the bed, groaning in pain. He thought I was a nurse. Without looking up, he muttered, "Can you get me some water?" I grabbed a cup, handed it to him. When he finally looked up and realized it was me, his entire body stiffened. He tried to sit up, but immediately cried out and collapsed back onto the bed. "What the hell happened?" I demanded. Nathan flushed bright red. "I had hemorrhoid surgery. I stared at him, speechless. He stammered quickly. I swear it's not because of anything dirty, just stress, bad diet, totally normal. I wiped the sweat from his forehead. Heart aching for him. He looked so pitiful. So small. I sighed. You idiot, I muttered. Nathan smiled weakly. Then, almost shyly, he pulled something from under his pillow. A jewelry box. Inside was a glittering ring. $300 million worth of diamonds. He looked at me seriously. I bought this 2 weeks ago. I was going to propose properly, but... well, things happened. I stared at the ring. Overwhelmed. Nathan reached out, slid it onto my finger. Tessa, he said, voice low and rough. I'm never letting you go no matter who the heroine is supposed to be in my story. You're the only heroine I'll ever have. For a long moment, I just sat there, staring at the ring glittering on my finger. It felt unreal. Nathan Reed, the supposedly cold and aloof CEO, was looking at me like I was his entire world. His voice was soft but firm. I don't care about the original story. I don't care about fate. I only care about you. Tears pricked the corners of my eyes. Damn it. I wasn't the type to cry over romance cliches. But somehow, Nathan made even the most ridiculous words sound painfully sincere. I punched his shoulder lightly. You idiot, I muttered. He grinned, relief washing over his face. You're stuck with me now, he said, forever. After Nathan was discharged, things didn't immediately return to normal. If anything, Nathan became even clingier, like a koala or maybe a particularly needy golden retriever. He insisted on holding hands everywhere, at the supermarket, at company meetings, even while walking through parking lots. Once, he dramatically declared, if I let go of your hand, the universe might collapse. I rolled my eyes so hard they nearly fell out. But secretly, I liked it. Of course, Victor Chase didn't give up easily. He sent multiple job offers my way, each more lucrative than the last. One afternoon, after a particularly aggressive recruitment attempt, Nathan grabbed my hand and growled, don't even think about it. I raised an eyebrow. You scared, Mr. Reed? He narrowed his eyes. I'm not scared of that psycho Chase. I'm scared of you being too amazing. I blinked. Smooth, I said dryly, very smooth. He smirked. I practice in the mirror. One night, while we were lying in bed, Nathan suddenly asked, Tessa, if you could go back to your old world, would you? I hesitated. The logical part of me screamed yes. Go back, leave the fictional world behind, return to stability. But when I looked at him, his messy hair, his sleepy eyes, his warm hand covering mine, I realized I didn't want to leave. Not anymore. I smiled softly. I'm already home, I whispered. Nathan beamed like a kid on Christmas morning. He pulled me into his arms, squeezing me tightly. I love you, he said simply. No grand declarations, no cheesy pickup lines. Just raw, honest love. As I drifted off to sleep in his arms, I thought, maybe I wasn't just a background character anymore. Maybe I wasn't just a sidekick in someone else's story. Maybe I had written my own story. And in my story, Nathan Reed was the only male lead. And I was his only heroine. Forever.